Hello to all my fellow glorious Gaians. Thank you for joining me, Amber, on my channel Guidance Through Gaia, where I do tarot pick-a-card readings. If this is your first time, welcome, and I hope that you find something that resonates with you today. And if you are a returning subscriber, viewer, I just want to give you another thank you for coming back and allowing me to read your energy again. I am open for personal readings. If anybody's interested, go ahead and look for my contact information. It's in the description box down below. Send me an email and I will send you a list of my services. So today what we're looking at messages from your ex and their higher self, right? Because sometimes those two are in alignment with each other, sometimes they're not. Let's be real. We have 3 piles to choose from here. We have the carnelian agate arrowhead. We have the ruby and fuchsite. And we have the snowflake obsidian. What I'll be doing is I have 2 oracle cards here. One indicates the energy of your ex and the other one indicates the energy of their higher self. We'll read for them independently the messages that are to be delivered, and then I will get some oracle cards for you guys. So go ahead, focus, choose whatever pile or piles are calling to you, and I will see you at your reading. Bye. Hi, group number 1. If you chose the carnelian agate arrowhead, this is going to be your reading, giving you messages from both your ex and their higher self. So let's take a look at the energies. You know what? We're just going to start with the energy of your ex, okay? It's represented by this card here. We have a woman who's like in a flowy but simple kind of dress. There's a cupid with like a mandolin and a bird. She's got her eyes closed. She's carrying a basket that may have some fruits or flowers in it. She's walking through a field. The card itself is called number 16, the Forgiver. And the affirmation is, I forgive myself and others with compassion for our human frailties. It should be noted, I'll give you guys this information, that another card came out with this one called the Nurturer. So the energy that your ex is currently in right now is of somebody who is letting go of the past, somebody who is able to see both sides of the coin. And I mean, this could be in relation to you, or maybe this is just the kind of person they are. It could also just be that there's something else going on in their life that requires them to let go of any negative energy or any hostilities. But in general, the energy of this person at this point in time is that they want to help nourish things. They don't want to hold on to any anger or resentment, and they understand how complex being human is and the emotions that we experience. So we are going to be using Brit's Third Eye Tarot to get a message from them that they want to deliver to you, okay? So this is from like their physical mind, right? This is their human message. This is what they probably haven't said to you, but it's something that they're aware of, that they would want to say. Okay. So what message does Group 1's ex want to tell them? What does Group 1's ex want to say to them? We have the Ace of Swords with the Sun in reverse. Now I'm going to lay out all of the cards before I get into a message, and I'm going to read it like I'm going to express it in like the third person, right? Some people do first person readings. Okay, we've got the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. We've got the 2 of Cups and the 8 of Wands in reverse. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. Okay. And we've got the Knight of Pentacles, clarified by the Six of Wands in reverse. And then we've got, for the bottom of the deck, we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. First and foremost, group number one, this feels to me like an apology and a reassurance of sorts. Your ex wants to tell you that they've had some clarity on why the relationship didn't work out. There was joy here. There was happiness. But there's a sense of also that something was missing, that there wasn't something that was able to be completely fulfilled. And it has to do with this Ten of Pentacles in reverse. It's very likely that there was a sense of a lack of stability. And if this isn't an apology to you, as I'm talking about this could also be just them recognizing this is what took you away, right? That this is why it didn't work out, that perhaps you couldn't offer everything, that perhaps you weren't able to create the sense of stability. You know, there was this desire to have this emotional bond. You know, this Two of Cups, I love how we see these arms linking. They're looking at each other. There's just this magnetic attraction, but not in like necessarily a passionate sexual way, although there could have been, but also just this emotional connection. But with this Eight of Wands in reverse, it kind of feels like there was a halt to that, you know? That a road bump was hit, or things were delayed, or it just couldn't get past a certain point. And here we have another major arcana card, the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune is all about a turn of events. It's about cycles. And, you know, we're representing here the yin and the yang. We've got a fruit-bearing tree that is in season, and then on the other end of it, we have the same tree, presumably, but it's barren. There was a cycle in this relationship that couldn't begin. Or that there was a turn of events that had to shift the focus. And with this Knight of Pentacles, they want you to know that they had every intention of being able to offer this victory to you if they were the ones who backed away. You know, if you were the one who backed away, they want you to know that they understand that you did have the intention. There may have been some confusion here between the two of you about the authenticity of this relationship. Maybe someone questioned the other person's motives. But wherever you stand in this relationship, this person sees the truth of that. And with this Five of Pentacles in reverse, what we see here is we see this desire to reframe a perspective, recognizing that there were beautiful things that happened in the past, that those memories, those moments, those experiences, those feelings are valid. They were valid. They were real. And that just because this is the end of a relationship for you guys, it doesn't mean that those things are invalidated. They could be asking you, please don't feel alone, group number one. Or they could also be saying if you were the one who left, they could be saying, I finally gotten to a place in my life where I recognize what I still have. I can appreciate the moments that we had, and I don't feel alone anymore. So then we've got, for their higher self, We've got 38, the sigil keeper, with symbols, signs, and messages. Their higher self is somebody who is very good at seeing in between the lines, reading between the lines. They're very good at understanding the intricacies of life. And honestly, this person could have like a psychic connection to you or just a higher understanding of life. But this is somebody whose higher self is very in tune with symbols, with the meanings behind actions, with understanding how realities shift, with understanding human motivations. This person may have, in the physical realm, seemed like somebody who was only perceptive of what was right in front of them. But even if there's a little bit of a block here, they do see, I'm hearing like behind the curtain. Okay? And so now I want to see what their higher self has as a message for you, because this is beautiful. This is very uplifting. So I'm very curious to see what more their higher self could possibly say. And once again, we will lay out all of the cards. There's Death in reverse. Before we deliver the message. We've got the Knight of Wands. What does Group 1's X's higher self want to say? The Three of Swords in reverse. The Ten of Cups in reverse. We'll get one more. We've got the Moon with the Star in reverse. Okay, and we've got the Five of Swords in reverse as the bottom of the deck energy. What their higher self would say to you, Group number 1, is that there is some resistance to change on the part of your ex. Just because someone sees the truth of a situation doesn't mean that they are ready to accept altering their path, right? And so it could be that this person is still kind of wishing for you to come back, or it could be that they haven't changed their life in a way that would be harmonious with yours, especially with the Knight of Wands here. The Knight of Wands is a card of passion, ambition. It's very impulsive. And so this person is somebody who is ignited by passion. This is somebody who feels drawn to action, but they may not always question the motives of their actions. I would say that even though there's a lot of like forgiveness and nurturing, as we talked about here, and this is very sweet, there's a lot of maturing that this person may have to do according to their higher self. We've got the Three of Swords here in reverse, which talks about they are healing. Okay, it is happening, but it's likely happening at a very slow pace, slower than what one would expect. And then when we have the Ten of Cups here in reverse, the Moon with the Star in reverse, what that tells me is they're still not quite sure of what would make them happy. If this is somebody who left you, it's very likely that they are still figuring out what they want in like the grander scheme of their life, you know, where they want to live, what kind of job they want to do, if they want a family, if they want to get married, if they want to be monogamous, you know, and if they want to be in a relationship, what kind of partner they want to have, who they want to be as a partner. If this is somebody who you left, this is somebody who is trying to piece their lives back together. You know, they're not quite sure what life looks like without you. And they will, I think, ultimately figure it out, right? They'll get there. But there's still a sense of longing. There's still a sense of resistance. And there's still a lot of confusion. But with this 5 of Swords in reverse, you know, they're tired of the fight. They're tired of feeling unfulfilled, or they're tired of holding on to something that may never return to them. And they don't certainly hold any resentment towards you. If you felt like, even if you were the person who was left, right? Like say this person walked away from the relationship, you may have been holding back feeling like, oh my God, like, what did I do? Why wasn't I enough? And the universe would, with this, be saying to you, honey, it has nothing to do with you. It wasn't your fault. You are enough. They don't think badly of you at all. You know, the perception you may have of the reason why the relationship ended and the perception that they may have as to why the relationship ended in terms of, like, the value that you may have had, I think are very different perspectives. You may be somebody who is feeling very insecure, unsure, and this person would definitely come to you and tell you, group number 1, it was never about that, you know? I'm going to stop the reading for a moment just to see what kind of oracle cards I want to grab. Back, guys. I'll probably use both of these decks for the other 2 piles. So we're going to be using the Soul Creators Oracle. I think that's what it's called. The Sacred Creators Oracle, excuse me. And this will be a message from, like, we can just call it the 3D version of your ex. And then this is the Soul Helpers Oracle, I believe. Yeah, Soul Helper Oracle. And this will give us messages from their higher self, okay? So what is another message from group number 1's ex? Changes in reverse. Number 10. Do I want to read the book for this? So, first and foremost, I would say this is just confirmation from them that, first of all, there was nothing that you needed to change. If they were the ones that left. And secondly, that it's very likely that they're not willing to change in a way that meets your needs. It's kind of like, I recognize where the differences were, and they're going to remain differences. But see how, like, it's almost like these little grains are getting away too, you know? And I'll read from the self-care message, which is what this is in the reverse. And it says, things may be getting out of control, unwanted external influences, the ups and downs of life, the inevitable nature of change, feeling uprooted in change, an opportunity to let go of old and outdated visions of the future. So I think that's encouragement for you to change what it is that you're wanting for your life now that they're gone. And also understanding that it's very likely there were external influences that were affecting their ability to show up. And they may have had to prioritize that. Or it could also be that they just felt that those external influences and how it affected you, how it affected them, how it affected the relationship, were things that just changed the situation so much that they don't see the possibility or the reason to return to the relationship as it was. And then we are going to get messages from their higher self. Okay, so what's a message from group 1's ex's higher self? Okay. And it says 19, enter the temple of your truth and learn to value it. So group number 1, this is their higher self reassuring you that you standing your ground, or you making the decision that you did, you know, in your best interest. That's where you have to be. Sometimes we do want to make compromises for the people in our lives, but that doesn't mean you should be compromising everything. And whether it was you who left or they who left, as long as you are being authentic to yourself and being true to yourself, that's what's important. Because if you're changing what your goals are, how you present yourself, you're just manipulating yourself into being somebody that you aren't, just to satisfy another person, right? But if you develop your boundaries, develop your goals, you stand firm in them, you are going to draw in somebody who values you for who you are, you know, not what they want you to be, right? So this is where I'm going to leave you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If it resonated, let me know how in the comment section. If you want to be a part of the family but haven't done so, you can hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you are interested in a personal reading with me, I offer them. You can go ahead and for my contact information in the description box down below, shoot me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. All right, bye guys. Hello to my group number 2s. You chose the Ruby and Fuchsite. And this is going to be a reading on messages from your ex and their higher self. So these cards represent each personality, each energy. We are going to start with the very much physical 3D version of your ex. So it's represented by this character. So number 2, the benefactor. Affirmation. I enjoy life now as I take steps to realize my new tomorrow. So this character is shown to have like these 2 interlocked gold rings. There's like this river they're walking by, jewels atop their head, these wings coming out. This person in the 3D right now, I feel, is very focused on finances. You know, this card talks about having goals to achieve and kind of struggling with being potentially too rigid in those goals. There's a necessity to be more flexible. This could also indicate a person who does want to provide, who may have a generous heart, even if it's just materialistically. But it's someone who is very driven, very goal-oriented, and someone who is focusing on the material realm. Okay, so we are going to use cards from Brit's Third Eye Tarot to get a message from this person to you. Okay, and so how I did it with group 1 is I just laid out the total message and I read it out as like a third person, in a third person delivery. So this is something that like they on a surface level would express to you, right? Something about their feelings, their physical realm, their mind, but it's what's conscious to them. So what is group 2's message from their ex? We've got the Knight of Wands. Group 2's message from their ex. Okay. We've got the Lovers in reverse, clarified by the Nine of Swords. Okay. What is group 2's message from their ex? the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Tower in reverse, the Ace of Wands. We've got Justice in reverse. Okay, group number 2. This person wants you to know that they still have a lot of passion for you. The Knight of Wands is somebody who is just fiery. It can be somebody who's very lustful, very ambitious, very driven, action-oriented, creative, passionate. This is somebody who acts on impulse. We don't always see the Knight of Wands as being somebody reliable, somebody dependable. They have a goal in sight and they rush for it, right? So they have so much desire for you, but right now they are so in their head. The Lovers reversed indicates to me that obviously we're talking about exes here, right? So there's clearly been an ending between the two of you, and they are thinking about it. You know, you might have felt that maybe the breakup didn't bother them. Maybe they didn't care. Maybe they grew tired of you or had a negative opinion of you or just put you out of their mind. And the reality here is group number 2. That is not the case. Your ex is still thinking so heavily about you. And with this Queen of Wands in reverse, what that signifies to me is there's a lack of confidence within themselves, right? They could be doubting their decisions. They could be doubting if you would even want them. They could be doubting if, like, to me, this card feels like seeing someone that you desire, but having them out of reach. So whatever the energy, whatever happened between the two of you, it weighs so heavily on their minds, and they didn't want it to change. This Tower in reverse card tells me that even if their actions indicated that, like, if they were the ones who broke up with you, you may have thought like it was so easy for them, right? That they were just done, they washed their hands clean of you, they got distracted by something else, whatever. But this could have been they were resisting the desire for change at the time that it occurred, or that in retrospect, right, they're realizing what they lost and they wish they could go back. They wish they could go back in time. This Ace of Wands tells me that there's still a part of them that has this hope to reignite something with you. Now, because we have all of these cards here with like the Lovers in reverse, the Queen of Wands in reverse, the Tower in reverse, even though these two cards are upright, including a card of movement, I don't necessarily feel that they have a plan to come forward. It could be that they're in the process of trying to devise a plan, but on the same token, this feels just like the spark of an idea. It could be that they're going throughout their day, something reminds them of you, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to get them back. I'm going to get group 1 back. Sorry, not group 1, group 2 back. It could be that in moments of like nostalgia, they're thinking about how, you know, maybe it'll work out. Maybe they'll come back to me. Maybe the universe will bring us back together. The Ace of Wands it's a spark. It's an idea, but it's not fleshed out. However, behind all of that thought process, there's this feeling of injustice, right? That it could be that they are thinking of how they wronged you, if that was the case. But it also could simply be the fact of feeling as if life wasn't fair to them. You know, it got in the way, or things shouldn't have ended the way that they ended, or even if they're, you know, even with this still desire for you, right? They could also, if there was like a fight that led to the breakup, they could also still hold you accountable in their minds for what happened. There's a little bit of back and forth with this for me, of like hope versus fear versus anger. So this could still be a very, very fresh breakup for a lot of you. Now we're going to get into the higher self of your ex, and that is represented by 30, she who laughs, humor, perspective, and mirth. What that tells me is that their higher self is represented by somebody who is more lighthearted than the energy that they have here. This is very much like, I need a solid income, I have goals in mind, I have to work, grind, I want to be a provider. And their higher self is somebody who isn't so focused on all of that. Their higher self is somebody who wants to enjoy life's beautiful moments, right? Somebody who doesn't take the pressures of the world so seriously. Somebody who isn't fixated on the bumps and bruises that come with life, but somebody who just wants to have fun, who wants to express themselves happily and safely, and isn't so bogged down by the negative experiences or the negative feelings or perspectives that their 3D self has. So we're going to see what message their higher self would have for you. What message does group 3's ex's group 2's, I just can't get your number right. What message does group 2's ex's higher self have for them? What messages does group 2's ex's higher self have for them? We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. We have the 9 of Pentacles. What message does group 2's? We have the Queen of Swords. Interesting that it's under the Queen of Wands. What message does group 2's ex's higher self have for group 2? We have the 7 of Swords in reverse. We have the Black Newman in reverse. And then we have the Chariot. Okay, so first and foremost, with this Wheel of Fortune in reverse, what their higher self would tell you is that your ex is not taking control of their life. They are experiencing life as a bystander, and it could be that they are currently in a very negative state right now, a very negative cycle. So that could be confirmation for those of you where maybe this person expressed more aggression, more anger, more dissatisfaction. And they're not taking accountability for that. They are very focused on themselves. You know, they are looking for their sense of self-worth, what makes them happy. They're very focused right now on the material realm and a sense of security. And they're not in a position where they are really considering anybody else. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, we have to prioritize ourselves before we can really prioritize other people. But with the Queen of Swords, they're starting to gain some clarity. Their minds are starting to expand so that they have a better understanding of who they are and what they're looking for in life. They're starting to become aware of the patterns. And it's going to be a process for them. This is giving me the energy of like this higher self is kind of revealing that this person is very mentally and emotionally congested, and they might not be completely self-aware or emotionally intelligent. This is somebody who likely has their cup, like has their plate so full they don't have room for anything or anyone else. The Seven of Swords in reverse tells me that the higher self wants you to know that this person is being honest about their motives, right? That they aren't trying to be deceptive towards you. And they are really just trying to figure themselves out and their place in the world. The Black Newman card, it's one of two cards that is exclusive to the deck that we are using for this. It's the White Newman, a Sacred Animal Tarot. So I'm going to try to find what that says. Here we go. Void, pending loss, and corrosion. So this card says the two Newmen face their own extinction, two branches upside down, just about to burn into the sacred fire. The world is about to be spun upside down, and yet they still guard their altar, which drowns slowly in the depths. Once absorbed by the haze, their sacred nature shall depart, simple beasts once more, still with the promise of a re-encounter of the divine. The Black Newman symbolizes clinging on to causes that may seem lost, distraction and confusion, a challenge to faith with the knowledge that it shall return. It's in the reverse, and even though this deck doesn't include like reverse meanings, I generally take reversals with tarot, and I'm not going to make an exception for that with this card. This person is trying to pull themselves up out of a void. There is something very, very deep and heavy that they are experiencing, and they are having to assess the situation, assess what skills they have, and assess how to pull themselves up out of this darkness. With this Chariot card here, this tells me a couple of things. First and foremost, that their higher self wants you to know that there is an influence that you've bestowed upon them. This person is never going to be able to forget you. Like, you have left an imprint on them, and it will help guide them throughout their life. But also, with the Chariot, it talks about making personal decisions. So this person will always be driven by their needs, okay? And if those needs don't line up with yours, then they are going to continue moving away. So let's get some messages. We're going to be using the Sacred Creator Oracle here to get a message from your person's 3D self. It's card number 00, and it says, overthinking can spoil the magic. But it's in reverse, and so that's a self-care message, right? You know, when it's upright, this looks like a pendulum, but in reverse, it kind of looks like a balloon, you know, floating. That's the wrong guidebook. So it says, naively jumping into something new with both feet, analysis paralysis, and the fear of making the wrong decision. Movement and progress blocked by your own doubts, not trusting your gut, worrying about outcomes before you begin, blocking or disregarding your intuition, obsessively planning and perfectionism, a need to learn new skills along the way. So I think the message is relaying that both of you need to learn to trust your own guidance, right? And there may have been a time when the two of you were neglecting your intuition to try to rationalize behaviors in the relationship or in separation, and to maintain those behaviors, those perspectives. It's time to let that go, right? Your intuition and their intuition, when you start to open up more to it and you just start trusting yourself, it's going to guide you in the right direction. Now from their higher self, we're going to get a message using the Soul Helper Oracle. A partnership for the new age. It is time to welcome it. And look at this. 30-30. You know, their higher self is telling you, welcome whatever opportunities come. If you are meant to reunite with this person, it will happen, you know, and there's going to be a need to let go of the past on both ends. But if a partnership comes along that's fulfilling to you and it's not with this person, their higher self is asking you to embrace it. You deserve true, authentic love. You deserve love with somebody who is sure of you, who makes time for you, whose priorities align with yours. Group number 2. And their higher self wants you to know that even if it isn't with them, that there will always be love for you. And that there's always a desire in their heart for you to live the most fulfilling life you can. I'm going to leave your reading here. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If it resonated, let me know how in the comment section. If you would like to be a part of the family, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you're interested in a personal reading, I offer them. Just find my contact information in the description box down below and send me an email and I'll send you a list of my services. All right, bye. Hello, group number 3. You chose the Snowflake Obsidian. So these are your messages from your ex and their higher self. We are going to start with reading the profile of your ex and then getting a message from them in the third person. It's titled The Friend, with affirmation, I am my own best friend and magnetize other loving friendships. And we have this beautiful card here, right? So things we notice about it, there's this flower in between. They're both dressed kind of as like royalty. We've got these 2 doves here. I'm hearing lovebirds. It looks like we are at a beach setting. This is, I would say, somebody who can be very romantic, but is also very honorable. I think this is somebody who has a lot of integrity and who sees people for who they are, not who they want them to be, right? This is likely somebody that you are still friends with and may still harbor feelings for. And this card talks about really keeping the options open as far as evolving a relationship. I just saw 111. This person is somebody who values strong foundations in their relationships, whether it's friendships, but especially romantic relationships, right? They aren't looking for something superficial. They really want a partner who is going to be a good friend to them. Overall, they're just very positive, I think, and very giving. And they care a lot about the people in their life. So we're going to be using Brit's Third Eye Tarot to be getting a message from them. This is something that they would be more conscious of. Can relate to feelings, thoughts, intentions. And we are going to lay it all out, lay it bare, right? We're going to lay out all of the cards that we're going to use, and we'll talk about them collectively. And as I previously mentioned, I will be speaking in the third person. Some people channel messages in the first. That's just not my style. Whew. All right. So what does Group 3's ex want to tell them? What's a message that their ex has to give? Okay. We have the 10 of Swords here. with the High Priestess in reverse. We have the Hierophant. Okay, what message does group 3's ex have for them? Ooh. We have the Three of Cups in reverse with the Page of Pentacles in reverse and the Three of Swords. What message does group 3's person have for them today? We've got the Eight of Wands in reverse. And we've got the Magician upright. Ooh, with the King of Cups. This is a lot deeper than I originally thought it would be. Okay. So, my assessment could have been incorrect initially with this profile. You may not actually be friends with them. Or they could have retreated from the friendship. I will say there's something heavy on their mind. They're feeling really stressed about something and they aren't quite certain what it is. There's a disconnect that they're experiencing from their awareness to their emotions or their needs. And they're very heavily focused on trying to ascertain what this is. The Hierophant here talks about tradition. It can be a symbol of marriage or religion, institution. What I think is very telling here is that we have this character. She's got her arm, like her hands put together as if she's praying. And she's got what almost kind of looks like this ice cube around her head, right? Like her head is very isolated from the rest of her surroundings. So what that tells me is that this person is probably trying to, they're probably trying to take themselves out of situations that they may feel are distracting so that they can get more clarity on what it is that's causing them pain. First of all, I feel like this is somebody who is very self-aware, somebody who doesn't want to hurt others, and so they don't want to show up in a way that could cause any pain or confusion for you. I also think that this is somebody who just really isn't afraid to do the heavy work. They are somebody who very likely, I wouldn't be surprised if this person goes to therapy, right? Or reads self-help books. I feel like they're somebody who, even if they're not in a constant state of this, they do periodically go through episodes of self-improvement. And whatever this Ten of Swords is that's causing them anguish, it's causing them stress, they really want to get to the root of it. Okay? And this separation, the Three of Cups upright would talk about celebration, friendship, getting together, good times. And it's very clear to me that that's not happening at this point with the two of you. You might be in a state of confusion where you're like, okay, I know we broke up, but I thought we were still cool. So where the hell has this person been? And they're wanting to tell you that they've had to retreat and that it is causing them pain. They're really sad about it. They're sad that at this point in time, they don't have time or energy to put into this connection. but they're working through it. They're working through it slowly. There has been a delay, there has been a stall, but this Magician card being at the end really tells me that this person is somebody who puts in the effort, right? They do what they say they're going to do. They realize that they are in control of like a lot of their life, their surroundings, how they treat people, the kind of people that they allow into their life. And they're really alchemizing whatever this pain is, like trying to get to the root of it and turn it into something positive or to clear it out. And with this King of Cups here, you know, what this tells me is that they want to return to this connection emotionally healthy. This is somebody who wants to be able, whether this is as a romantic partner, or just back as a friend, wants to be able to come back into your life and be somebody who is secure, mentally stable, able to show up in the relationship, able to provide the attention needed in the relationship. Like this is a beautiful person. You know, on the surface, we'll get to see what their higher self says, right? But from the looks of it, this is somebody who is very aware of their body and of their needs and limitations, and they are also aware of what you as a person are deserving of. So let's get to their higher self. This is represented by 31, the Fairy Norn, planning, patience, and cooperation. I think that's absolutely beautiful. What this shows me is that their higher self is very analytical. Their higher self is very organized. Their higher self is an entity that projects like into the future and takes into account the different roads that are able to be taken, you know. And it's a higher self that tries to work with other energies, and wants the best for everyone around the person itself. Very analytical, calm, but the higher self could also be, in a sense, more relaxed. You know, this isn't a higher self that's like trying to rush anything. There is this focus on making sure that when something is done, it's done correctly. You know, and we could argue about the constraints of time. You know, when we talk about our higher selves, that could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But in general, I would say the concept of a higher self likely indicates, you know, the concept of being outside of time and space, right? Like there's an alert to time and space, but there's also an alert to like what the greatest purpose is. And so what the higher self's plans or perspectives or perceptions are, may not align with the time frame that we desire. If that makes sense, right? Like, does that make sense? But we're going to get into what message the higher self has for you today. Something that, you know, your 3D ex's self may not necessarily be aware of or tuned into. So what message does Group 3's ex's higher self have for Group 3? The 4 of Swords in reverse. The 8 of Wands. Okay, interesting that we have both 8 of Wands here. One's in reverse and the 3D version, and one's in the upright. We have the Queen of Wands in reverse with the Knight of Cups. The High Priestess. Interesting. I think this is the only group out of the 3 that has had duplicates of the cards come out. And Strength. Clarified by the 9 of Wands. Okay, so this is, I would say, a fairly uplifting message from the higher self of your ex. First of all, there's a lot more movement here than what the 3D message indicates. Okay, here the 3D, we're talking about delays and confusion, but the higher self is saying, no. There's actually more clarity that this person has. They just don't fully understand that. The Four of Swords in reverse indicates to me that the higher self is alerting you to there is movement coming. What has been at rest is now stirring, and you're going to start seeing action, and it's coming in a lot more quickly than what even the physical person understands. They're getting closer, and I feel like I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but we're talking about the constraints of time and space and whatever, and the illusion of it. But they're actually reaching the end of this cycle, okay? Which is understandable, because if this person doesn't even really understand like what's going on with them, they have no idea the trajectory of the path they're on. They could feel, in feeling lost, they could be seeing an end that's further away. It's more distant. But in reality, the higher self of this person is saying it's really not that far. They're going to hit like an aha moment. It is coming. And when they move, this is a person who may not have like a lot of confidence, right? The Queen of Wands in reverse is somebody who might not believe that she can manifest, who might not feel her most attractive, who might not feel her most powerful, but it's still being clarified by the Knight of Cups. A Knight is about movement, and Cups is about emotion and psychic connection, and and creation. And so this person, I believe, the higher self is trying to express is that they're moving in a way that's being driven by their desires, their emotional connection, but they're just not confident yet. Okay, it's leading them in the right direction. And I think even with that, that's kind of beautiful, because it's really easy to make a step forward, to take action when you feel confident about it, right? Like when you feel like you're capable of doing something and you feel like you got it in the bag, moving forward is so easy. But when you're scared, when you're insecure, when you don't feel like you know what you're doing, to move forward and say, I'm going to try anyway, that takes a lot of courage, right? And we see that here with the Strength. The High Priestess card indicates here that there is more of a connection, right? That your ex has to their higher consciousness, to the external realities. Like, they may not necessarily see that though. They're probably doubting themselves. But I think this voice is going to get louder for them, okay? This is, to me, a symbol of like, it's like layer on layer. It's like someone turning up the volume on a phone. And that there's this bond, I think, between the two of you that can surpass any confusion, any frustrations, any insecurities, or any external factors that try to interfere. We're almost at the end of that journey with this Nine of Wands. And, like, that is so refreshing to hear. It's so beautiful, group number 3. So now we're going to get with the Sacred Creators Oracle one more message from your ex. Okay, fine. I'll take it. We have card number 19 with Welcome the Divine Masculine. Now, this person doesn't have to be a man. They don't have to be a masculine man. But what this card is telling me is that, like we talked, this is a level up, right? This is an addition. Like, this person is growing in some way. And I think that's going to elevate them in their sense of clarity, in their actions. We're going to see what it says here with the essential meaning. Yang, passion, creativity, providing care for others, strength of spirit, warrior soul, knowledge, a gifted leader, true entrepreneurial spirit, stability, friendly and positive competition. Absolutely. This person is going to even come back into this connection stronger, more solid, more confident. It's just taking them a little bit longer to get there. And this could have something to do with you, you know, especially like if the breakup was fresh and the two of you were like, yeah, let's be friends. And then all of a sudden they were like, you know what? I just need some time. Or if something was going on in their life, like maybe they got caught up with work, or they got caught up with school, or like they had to move, they fell ill, whatever, they're going to be able to overcome that obstacle and then come back and give you like more of their time and their attention, and provide clarity. And not only just clarity, but show you that they mean what they say. This stress is just going to fall away. And now we're going to get a message from their higher self using the Soul Helper Oracle. Okay. So it's card 21 with recognize despair as an opportunity. Within it, you will find the gift of awakening. So I have two messages that I'm getting here. For one is, we've been talking about how they're very stressed. You know, there's something going on with them and they're really struggling with it. And they are taking that as an opportunity to awaken, right? This is a very proactive person. But this, I think, is also an encouragement for you. You know, when you're feeling stressed or lonely or in despair, to an extent, we want to sit with those feelings, but we don't want to let them control us. You know, is there a wound that this is kind of poking at that maybe you can work on healing? How can you occupy your time while you're waiting for this person? Are there any goals that you would like to achieve? You know, where do you want to put your attention? Because right now it seems like maybe it's focused on this person, but this person can't be here for you quite yet. You know, you're going to want to have something to feel accomplished about when they come back. You know, you're going to want something to talk about. And this person does not want to see you upset. They don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to know that you're sitting here in any type of worry or distress or insecurity. Like, they want you just genuinely to live your life, you know? So group number 3, I hope that this reading resonated with you. I just saw 2020. Hindsight is 2020. If it resonated, please let me know how in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the reading, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to be a part of the family, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload a new video. And if you would like a personal reading, I am offering those. You can find my contact information in the description box down below. Go ahead, send me an email. I'll send you a list of my services and we'll connect. All right, bye.